You're born in Kansas, 1949, in a house that smells of corn motor oil and Sunday sermons. Your mother keeps the radio on all day. Your father keeps the flag folded neat in a drawer. You grow up thinking America is a promise wide skies baseball and freedom for all. The word war sounds heroic when it's still far away. You graduate high school in '67, the summer of music and peace signs. But the letters come anyway, draft notices with your name printed neat and final. Your friends joke about Canada. Your father doesn't. He says a man answers his country. You sign the papers. You don't realize you've just signed away choice itself. Training smells like sweat gun oil and fear pretending to be courage. Drill sergeants scream that you're soft, that hesitation kills. They teach you how to clean an M16 blindfolded, how to march until thought disappears. You learn the word enemy before you learn where Vietnam even is. By the time you land in Da Nang, the air hits you like a wet fist, thick, hot, alive. The jungle hums like it's breathing. The ground smells of rot and metal. They say you're here to stop communism. You just hope you don't melt before lunch. The first night you hear insects, frogs, and gunfire in the same breath. The second night, someone in your unit steps on a mine. You don't see it happen, just the flash, then the silence. By morning, the jungle has already swallowed him. You write home that week, tell your mother the food's fine, the men are brave. You leave out the part where you can't sleep, where you wake up clawing your own neck because the mosquitoes sound like whispers. You tell her you're proud to serve. You don't say you're already counting the days until you forget what pride feels like. You thought you came to fight. You came to survive a war that doesn't know why it exists. And from that day, every sunrise stops meaning morning. It just means you lived long enough to see it. War teaches faster than any school. You stop thinking in words, only in sounds. Click, thump, scream, silence. That's your new alphabet. The jungle becomes your classroom. You learn that rain never stops, that mud eats boots whole, that leeches climb up from the ground like slow bullets. You learn to tell the difference between fireworks and mortar fire. There isn't much. You learn that the smell of sweat and fear is stronger than gunpowder. The first time you fire at someone, you don't even see his face. Just movement in the trees, a flash of muzzle light. Your finger squeezes before your brain catches up. The noise splits your chest open. When it stops, your hands are shaking, not from fear, from adrenaline that doesn't know where to go. The sergeant slaps your shoulder. Good kill. You nod because that's what you're supposed to do. Inside, something small and human curls up and goes quiet. By the third month, you're not counting kills, just hours without one. You eat when you can sleep, when you can piss when it's safe. You don't say prayers anymore. You say routines. Load, check, move. Always move. Letters from home pile up in your pack unopened. The words, "Dear son," feel too clean for where you are. You don't want them to know that the jungle has a voice, that it whispers through the leaves, through the flies, through the bones under your boots. You watch men change. The kid from Chicago stops laughing after he finds his friend's hand in the mud. The one who used to draw cartoons now sketches maps of bodies. Your lieutenant hums hymns while cleaning his rifle. Everyone finds a way to stay sane. None of them work. The Army calls it conditioning. They say you're becoming efficient. But it feels more like subtraction, peeling pieces of yourself off one firefight at a time. You stop jumping at the sound of gunfire. You stop looking at the faces of the ones you shoot. You stop feeling the weight of the dog tags in your pocket until you realize they're not yours. Sometimes, when the air is still, you hear a single bird call in the distance. You remember home for half a second, your mother's kitchen, your father's radio, the color of Kansas sunsets. Then, someone shouts, "Incoming," and it all burns away again. You learn to crawl before you think to kill, before you ask to sleep with one hand on your rifle, because comfort is just another word for careless. You thought training ended at boot camp. It didn't. It just moved to hell and changed uniforms. By 1969, you've stopped being the new guy. You're 20 and already the one others follow. The green recruits look at you like you've survived something mythical. You wish you could tell them the truth that surviving here isn't living. It's just a longer way to die. Your squad calls you Sarge even though you're not. You know the jungle better than the map, can smell an ambush before it happens, can read the silence between gunfire. Your boots are never clean, your uniform permanently damp. You sleep with your rifle as if it's the only thing still listening to you. You've learned the rhythm of war. You eat canned beans beside corpses. You joke about death because silence is worse. You tell stories to the new ones, stories you made up because real ones don't end well. The Army calls it progress. They pin a medal to your chest for courage under fire. You accept it with hands still shaking from the last firefight. The ribbon smells faintly of blood and sweat. You wear it anyway because you've forgotten what else people wear. One night you lead a patrol through a village. It's quiet. Too quiet. A baby cries in the dark and someone panics, fires into the hut. The explosion of sound is blinding women screaming, chickens flapping that smell of burning straw that always means someone's still inside. When it's over, you count the bodies. No rifles, no enemy, just villagers. The lieutenant says, "We'll write it up as VC shelter." You nod, because what else can you do? You wash your hands in the river after, but the water runs red for a long time. That night you don't sleep. You clean your gun 3 times, whispering apologies into the dark. Not to God, but to anyone who might still be listening. You realize you don't know if you're still one of the good guys. You're not even sure there are good guys anymore. The longer you fight, the less you believe in reasons. You fight for the man next to you, for routine, for the small chance that you'll see Kansas again. Ideals, freedom politics, those burned away with the first village. You stop counting months. Time is measured by the number of times you make it back from patrol, by how many new faces show up and how quickly they vanish. Once a journalist visits your base, smiling, asking questions about morale. You stare at her clean shoes and perfect teeth and wonder how she'll explain the smell when she gets home. You don't answer her questions. There are no words for what this place does to people. By the end of your tour, you're lean, quiet, efficient, the perfect soldier. You don't flinch, don't ask, don't hesitate. You move through firefights like smoke. Even the jungle seems to step aside for you. You've become what the Army wanted, a man who can kill without hating, survive without feeling, and walk through hell like it's just another day on duty. The only problem is you can't remember who you were before that. 1970. You come home. No parade. No marching band. No flag waiting at the airport. Just a layover, a paper cup of coffee, and a stranger who won't meet your eyes when he sees the uniform. America smells wrong now. Too clean, too bright, too alive. You step off the plane expecting silence, but the world is loud again. Car horns, advertisements, protests. Someone spits near your boots and mutters, "Baby killer." You keep walking. You don't even get angry. You've run out of space for that. Your mother cries when she sees you. Your father shakes your hand like you're a guest. You can't tell them about the heat, the noise, the screams that never stop even when they do. You just say, "I'm fine," because anything longer would break you. You try to sleep in your old bed, but the sheets feel wrong, too soft. You wake up gasping at every car backfire, every thunderclap. You keep the lights on because darkness in America feels just like darkness in the jungle. Work doesn't last. Factories don't like men who stare too long at walls. You drink more than you should smoke because it fills the silence. The doctor calls it nerves. There's no word yet for what it really is. You meet other vets in bars. You all wear the same look, like you're waiting for something that won't happen. You talk about the war sometimes, but never about the dead. That's private property now. One night, a man at the counter asks if you regret going. You open your mouth to answer, but nothing comes out. Because regret needs a clear memory, and you don't have one anymore, just flashes a burning hut, a medal in your pocket, a boy with no face. You move to the city, rent a room with peeling paint and a radio that won't tune. You try college on the GI Bill. The students protest outside your classroom chanting slogans you don't understand. You walk away before they finish. Years pass like smoke through a cracked window. The country keeps changing. Music, politics, presidents, all different now. You stay the same. You stop introducing yourself as a veteran. You stop introducing yourself at all. Some nights you still hear the jungle, the chirps, the rain, the breathing trees. Sometimes you reach for your rifle before you remember it's gone. You think maybe you should have died there where at least the noise made sense. They said coming home would be the end of the war, but you brought it with you. It lives in your heartbeat, your nightmares, your silence. And the cruelest part, nobody notices. The country moved on. You didn't. The years blend together until they stop meaning anything. You're 50 now, hair-thin hands, steady only when holding a cigarette. People your age talk about mortgages and grandkids. You talk to the TV when the news mentions another war. You live in a small apartment overlooking a parking lot. The air smells like fried food and rain on asphalt. Sometimes you catch yourself counting the windows across the street as if they're foxholes. The nightmares never left. They just learn to whisper. You wake at 3 a.m., most nights heart-pounding hand reaching for a weapon that isn't there. When you calm down, you stare at your palms, still expecting mud blood or both. All you find is skin. It feels foreign. Once a year on Veterans Day, the local diner gives free coffee. You go mostly for the silence. The waitress smiles and says, "Thank you for your service." You nod. She walks away before you can tell her you never stopped serving, just ran out of orders. You tried therapy once, decades too late. The young counselor said, "You have survivor's guilt." You wanted to laugh, as if guilt was something you got, not something you were. Sometimes at night you sit on the fire escape and listen to the city breathe. Cars, sirens, voices below. Life goes on without permission. You think of the men who didn't make it back, boys who froze in mud, who burned in helicopters, who vanished into trees that still remember. You keep a box under your bed. Inside, dog tags, a lighter, a photo of your unit, and the medal they gave you for doing what you still dream about not doing. You tell yourself you'll throw it away someday. You never do. When your body finally gives out, it's quiet. A stroke in your sleep, the doctor says. No flags, no bugles, no folded triangle on a coffin. Just another old man gone. Years later, a volunteer cleaning your apartment finds the box. The photograph is faded, edges curled. The medal still gleams. He looks at your face and says, "Must have been one of the Vietnam guys." Then he shrugs and moves on. But somewhere far away in a jungle that's long since healed, the wind still moves through the trees the way it did back then, and for a heartbeat it sounds like your breath. Because maybe that's what survival really is, not coming home, but leaving a piece of yourself behind that refuses to die. You were born believing in freedom, lived fighting for ghosts, and died forgotten, but the jungle still remembers your name.